I just finished 90 days of running every single day. And here's the cool thing. Somewhere along the lines, I realized I'd accidentally discovered 7 incredible rules that highly successful entrepreneurs live by. And I didn't learn this in a book. I learned these lessons 2 kilometers at a time. For the Americans, that's like 1.6 miles. So if you want more money, more peace, more freedom, more happiness, and more success, don't miss one of these 7 lessons. Number 7 is the one that changes everything. Okay, so before you skip to number 7 to see what I just want you to know right now, I'm going to be raw, real, and honest in this video because I'm sick and frickin' tired of seeing so many people out there spurting on about BS that they have no right talking about. Here's the thing. I ran 2 kilometers every single day. I also did at least 8,000 steps per day. I also drank at least a liter of water every day. And for most days, I did some form of push-ups or sit-ups or some other form of physical strength building activity as well. But the big thing here was all about 90 days of running. I made a promise to run every single day for a minimum of 2 kilometers every day. Now, that doesn't sound like much. I get it. It's like 2 kilometers. Really, Liz? You ran 2 kilometers every day? Woohoo! You can do that in your sleep. The every single day part is the part that I really want you to get here. That was the big part. That was the hard part. That was the through thick and thin. That was at the end of a day when I didn't want to do it. That was at the beginning of the day when it was going to be the only time that I had. The promise of doing 90 days in a row changed me. And I really, really want to document this for myself. And I really want to impact your life. Okay, so the first of the 7 lessons here, I want to shove this one in my own face forever because I kept forgetting it and I keep forgetting it. And I'm an entrepreneur that sometimes has entrepreneurial amnesia, which means that I forget how awesome I am and I forget the rules and the lessons that I've learned along the way. But I want to remember this one for the rest of my life. Lesson number 1, run your own gosh dang race. Now, quick story for you. When I began this challenge, I actually began the challenge because my incredible, amazing wife, Christy, was like, hey, I'm going to do 90 days in a row. And I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds fun. Can I do it with you too? She goes, yeah, sure. Awesome. What I didn't know is that she'd actually already started running 90 days. She'd already put 3 days in the books secretly. She was like 6 kilometers ahead of me. And she was running for discipline. She was running for change. She was running to set herself this new standard of being. And I was like, dang, that's cool. That's awesome. So I jumped on the bandwagon. Here's what I want you to know. On day 89 of Christy's challenge, she fell sick. And I'm talking the type of sick that if she actually got out there and ran, it would have actually been really detrimental to her health. She didn't even know that she'd made it to 89. She knew she hadn't quite made it to 90, but when I kind of added everything up for her and said, hey, did you know that you made it to 89? She was like, no, really? I was so close. And I'm like, yep. But this is what I want you to know. Because I'd started later than her, I had only made it to day, I think 85. Can't do the maths. I'm not very good at maths. I'm really good at making money, really good at changing people's lives, not so good at maths. But I'd only made it to like day 85 before she got sick. And I had a decision to make. Am I going to keep going now that the person that I was doing this challenge with is actually not able to keep going? I kind of felt guilty. I kind of felt bad that I was going to make it. By the same token, I live in the same house as my amazing wife. So I was like, oh crap, I might get sick. So my mind started to actually worry about whether I was going to make it or not. But I had to become determined and I had to run my own race. And I had to say, I'm going to make it to the finish line and I'm going to get there because gosh dang, I had worked my butt off through thick and thin to be able to get to the point where I had the potential to actually cross the finish line having done it. Now, just because she got sick didn't mean that I was going to get sick, of course. But crossing that finish line was something that I really, really wanted to do. And even though Christy wasn't going to be able to make it that time, I really wanted to keep going. And I had to push through some guilt. I had to push through some feelings of like, uh-oh, like I really want to get there. Now, she was still cheering me on. She was coughing and spluttering in the process, but she was still cheering me on. There have been times in the past in business when I have turned down my dial of brightness to make other people around me feel okay, make them feel safe, make them feel seen, make them feel okay with my level of brightness. In business, at times though, I haven't run my own race. I've gone slower, or I've followed strategies that just weren't for me, or I've just done things that just felt ick in my tummy. And I'll let you know right now that every single time in business where I run somebody else's race or run somebody else's strategy or try to impersonate or model someone too closely, those are always the times where things don't really work out as best they could. So the big lesson here is run your own race. Sure, get strategy, get coaches to help you and all that sort of stuff. But remember, run your own race, figuratively and literally. Lesson number 2 here is build a base, not a burst. Now, I only ran 2 kilometers per day. Minimum. That's the big thing that I want you to get here. Some days I ran 8Ks, so it's not like I was only doing 2 kilometers, but what I did was a minimum of 2 kilometers every single day. And there were some days, well, I didn't want to do 2Ks. I promise you, like I had been up a mountain or I'd been gardening all day and I'd done like 16, 17,000 steps. But then I still had to go out and run my 2 kilometers at the end of the day when I was already physically tired. Or maybe I had a big day with clients. I remember one day I put together this full massive reset document for one of my amazing clients up in Canada. And it was like 7 p.m. I'd been in it all day and it was amazing. I had so much fun that day, but I still needed to get my run in. So I got my ass out there at 7 p.m. and I went for a run, and it was cold and I was tired, but I got it done. But this is what I want you to know, is that I could have run the distance that I ran in the entire 90 days. I could have run that in a week easily. But the point wasn't a burst of energy. The point was consistency. We see people that have these massive rises and it's incredible and it's amazing. But wealth and happiness are not built in those massive bursts. They're built in the days when things go wrong, that you still show up. In the days that still feel right, that you still show up. It's in the daily consistency that really, really hammers things home. Okay, so the next thing is kind of similar to what I just said before. And it's about the rhythm of enough. And in this day and age, I see so many people posting about how much money they're making. I see the screenshots and all that sort of stuff. We see their Instagram shots and all that. What if enough is enough? What if it was enough to just run 2Ks per day? What if it was enough to work 4 days a week? What if it was enough to live life on your terms and not live life on somebody else's terms? What if 2 kilometers was enough? See, there were days when I genuinely loved the feeling of running, and I would be like running at 8 and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could keep going. But I actually had other things that I needed to do, and I'd already run 2 and that was enough, right? But there were days when 2 and getting to 2 was a struggle, because I'm not talking fast walking. I'm talking every day I ran, and 2 kilometers on the days when it's hard, I made it to, that's enough. So the big thing here is that small actions repeated daily build up to massive wins in the long term. See, over this period of time, my business grew. Over this period of time, I grew. Over this period of time, my relationship grew. Over this period of time, so many incredible, amazing other things happened as well. So there's 2 kilometers per day, and having that be enough meant so many other wins, and I never burnt out. I never got in pain. I never got injured. And I promise to you, there were days when I would just do the baseline minimum. And I got this sense of confidence on those days that I'd done enough. I did what I said I was going to do. Now, given the fact that I also committed to walking a minimum of 8,000 steps per day, meant that some days I would get to the end of the day of work or sitting down and serving clients, I would only have stepped 5,500 steps. So on those particular days at 4:30 in the afternoon, I had to get my ass out there and complete my 8,000 steps as well. Okay, in point number 4 here, I want you to get that every single time you keep a promise to yourself, you are building confidence. I was just going to make sure I made it because I wanted to get the confidence of having achieved this particular goal. Because for me, I really wanted to up some standards in my life. I really wanted to up daily consistency. I wanted to push myself in consistency because naturally I am a person that goes, then let me have a break, and then So for me, this pattern of daily consistency meant the world in terms of increasing my standards of showing up for myself. And boy, oh boy, the completion of this has delivered so much confidence into me that it is just yummy. I honestly would recommend anyone take on this challenge. It has just been amazing. Actually, with this said, if you want to be a part of a 90-day challenge with me and where we actually run together or do something cool together, comment below and I'll see what we can do. I'll put it together. Okay, point number 5. This one is a really good one, especially for the ladies out there that love looking good and you would never want to be seen like you look when you first get up in the morning. Like, let's be honest, it ain't pretty sometimes. Like, we get up, we look in the mirror, we're like, holy moly. Okay, so the main thing was it doesn't have to look glamorous. And there were days when I was snotty out there. I was running in the rain. I was running in freezing weather, and I was running with bleeding noses because when the temperature fluctuates, it makes me get bleeding noses. I had blood all over the place some days. I didn't have tissues with me. On those days, I didn't care what I looked like. I cared about the 2 kilometers. I cared about completion. I cared about trusting myself. I cared about doing the thing that I said that I was going to do, and not in a force and hustle way. This is small. This was just 2 kilometers a day. So I don't want you to think that I'm a proponent of hustle or a proponent of grind. I did this 90-day challenge to build trust in me, to build trust in my word, to build trust in my body as well, because people had told me you shouldn't run because of all these health things. And I was like, well, I want to run. They'd also told me you should never run every single day. And I'm like, why not? Like, why do we listen to people that want to impose fear upon us? Can't we just trust our own bodies? Can't we trust our own gut? And that was really what it got to. Success doesn't look glamorous all the time. We see Instagram, we see the front of house version of people's lives. We don't see the tears, we don't see the behind the scenes, we don't see the fear, we don't see the pajamas sitting in front of the computer days, we don't see the soggy face from all the tears that the person just keeps going. Success is mostly built in the ordinary days that you showed up for yourself. Okay, lesson number 6 that I learned out there was learn to negotiate with yourself. Because there are going to be days when you just don't wanna. There are going to be times when you want to quit. There are going to be moments that you don't feel like you're strong enough to keep going. But when I was out there and I was running, and on the days where I was not feeling good, there were days when I felt nauseous when I was running. There were days when I honestly felt like I was going to crap my pants when I was out there. There were days where it was bitterly cold because it's actually winter in New Zealand right now. I'm talking minus freezing. And there were days where I just didn't want to be out there running. I'd prefer to be inside. I'd prefer to be warm. But those days were actually easy compared to the days when I was about to make it. On day 86, when Christy got really, really, really sick, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what if I don't make it? Like, what do I need? I need to be really careful. Well, what if? And my brain started to tell me that I was about to get sick. And then day 87, it was the same. But then what I actually started to do on day 87 that was entirely different to what I actually did on day 86 was I said, stop. Do not talk to yourself like that. That is not how we win. That is not how we make it to the finish line. So I stopped those thoughts and I started saying, I'm so excited about making it to day 90. I'm so excited about making it to day 90. I'm so excited about making it to day 90. I'm so excited about making it to day 90. And I imagined myself crossing the finish line. There was a finish line that I knew that I could get to. And even though the fear cropped up still, I kept saying those words and I kept getting excited about the fact that I was going to cross the finish line on day 90. Hey, real quick, I've just been sitting here thinking about the video that I'm creating right now. And I told you I was going to be raw, real, and honest with you. I'm sitting here going, is this video good enough to impact your life? And before I get to point number 7 here, I want to say this. Running 90 days every single day changed so much for me. So whilst I might be giving you the quick highlight reel right now, in the hopes that this shifts and changes your life, I'm sitting here going, is this enough? Which is ironic given the fact that I've just said to you, learn to negotiate with yourself. So I do have a request for you. If this has changed your world in any way, shape, or form, let me know in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and what your biggest breakthrough was. And let me know if you want to join a 90-day challenge with me. So in point number 7, this one is a big one. I've done a lot of identity work with entrepreneurs, with myself. And what I mean by that is like become the person who gets the results, right? And that's amazing. And I do believe in that. But this part here is just a slight different play on that. And as I was running every day, I became a person who trusted myself more to do what I said I was going to do through thick and thin. Because honestly, there were days that I could have just said, nah, it's okay. And I could have said to myself, you don't have to do this today, Elizabeth. But what I really wanted to do was trust myself enough to get through the hard times, to trust myself to get through the self-doubt, to trust myself enough to be consistent every single day for 90 days. That's what I imagined at the beginning. And it was never about fitness. It was never about losing weight. It was never about anything other than getting a pocket of time in the books where I was consistent every single day. And I'd already imagined myself as being that person and gone, oh my gosh, that would be amazingly cool. And there were pockets of time throughout that 90 days where I had the ability to trust myself and understand that that also means trust yourself to do it when you don't want to do it, but also to do it at a different time of the day if I was just feeling horrible on a particular time. And when I say horrible, I mean there were some days where where I was tired. When I woke up in the morning, I was like, today is not the day for running at 6 a.m. in the morning. And some days I would run at 10 a.m. And some days I would run just before a business meeting, and trusting myself to get it done, but allow myself the grace to choose when in the period of time, to choose when in the day I would get it done. That was amazing. So self-trust, the big thing here is self-trust is built, not born. Like I didn't know at the beginning of this 90 days if I could actually be the person that did it, although I believed I could because it was just 90 days and I'd seen other people do 90-day challenges. But the level of self-trust that I developed over this period of time, it's really hard to actually even explain with words. It's hard to fathom that. Like I look back and I go, shivers, like 90 days ago, I hadn't run every single day for 90 days. I've become a person that this is something that I do. And it's who I am. It's how I rock it out. It's one of those things that it's almost like this self-love routine now where I get out there, I run, I cross the finish line every day. Then I have a bit of a debrief with myself. I spend time with myself before I go back to start my day. So it's become this thing that is almost nervous system regulatory in a way that I didn't even know was possible. And being out there every day alone in my thoughts just meant that I had stabilization of my character. If I was grumpy for whatever reason, I mean the grump left. If I was sad, sadness left. If I was happy, I got happier. So any negative emotions, they were gone by the end of a 2-kilometer run. And it was incredible to experience that. And I'm kind of looking back on this time right now going, like I'm actually in my feels right now, going, I did it. When I crossed the finish line, I bawled my eyes out. I rang Christy before I crossed the finish line. And when I say finish line, you were like, well, wait a minute. Was the finish line? Were you running a race? No, yeah. There was a 2-kilometer line that I knew that when I crossed that, I'd run 2 kilometers. And on that last day, day 90, as I was 200 meters from the finish line, I all of a sudden felt really alone because I realized now I wanted to be witnessed in the fact that I had done something, that I'd completed something that was hard. I'd completed something that I said that I was going to do. And even though beautiful Christy wasn't there with me, I wanted her to be part of my joy. And 200 meters before crossing the finish line, I called her. And I shared the moment with her because I was really proud. I was proud of myself for doing what I said I was going to do, for trusting myself enough to do it, for trusting my body enough to do it, for having the faith in myself to do it, and for following through. And even though it wasn't the most challenging physical thing I'd ever done, boy, oh boy, was it challenging mentally. Every single day, 2 kilometers minimum, 8,000 steps minimum, and a liter of water minimum. Those were my bases. And what I got from this was far beyond anything that I'd ever expect. I recommend a challenge like this to anyone. And the really, really, really cool thing here is I didn't do it for anyone but me. I could have quit. And the only person that I would have been letting down was me. So I chose to keep going for me. I ran my own race for me. I loved myself more in this process, and I didn't get a medal, nor do I need one. I got something better than the medal. I got self-trust. In my heart of hearts, I genuinely hope that this video has served your spirit, your heart, your business, your mind. Go out there and use these lessons to build the business of your dreams, build the life of your dreams. Remember to trust yourself in the process. You are enough. You are incredible. You are amazing. But that's not for me to say. That's for you to realize and learn. I love you. See you in the next video.